You're listening to a Podfix Network podcast.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Fella, and I am, funny enough, hosting this little bit as a member of Walrus. And today I have with me
Christian Torres
And Matt Walker.
And today we're going to be talking about what is it like to host a show.
Ooh, all the pitfalls, emotional and otherwise.
Matt, you were awarded Florida's annual host with the most last year, right?
Yeah, but it was rigged.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Do you not? Would you not have won otherwise?
Yeah, it was a lot of gerrymandering, frankly. Yeah.
They do that?
Yeah. For all governmental things, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's democracy.
Hey, what can you say?
Best system we've got.
All right. Thanks for listening. Bye.
So what makes a good host, Matt? Like, what do you think makes you a good host? Well, okay, no, let me scratch that. What do you think makes good hosts? And then what could you do to improve whatever it is you do on stage?
Well, what I think makes a good host is someone with high energy, cuts straight to the acts as quickly as possible, or gets the audience on board. One of my biggest things that I always want to tell every human being alive that hosts, because every single person does this wrong, except for you, Christian, because I'm sure I've told you that I hate when people do this. But it's when people... So, okay, paint a picture. The last group has just gone off. Right. They have just exited. The host has come back out. They say, give it up for them, right? This is a good example. Give it up for those guys that you just saw. Boom. Next up, and then they name the act. They go, next up, Walrus is a group from St. Petersburg, Florida, and they're a great group. They're very fun. Let's welcome them on stage. And then they clap. My biggest pet peeve, man, is you say the name at the end of your hosting bit. Always. Because there's the punch. People are actually listening, and it's this big exclamation that then you can get everybody behind. The problem is when you go, your next group is Walrus, and they're a great, everyone's kind of like, I guess I won't clap. And then they just forget to clap by the end of it because they're listening to a fucking dissertation on the group that you're about to see. Anyway, 10 minutes later. And that's why I think that hosts... no, that's like my number one thing is you have to acknowledge the group before or the show. You have to check in with the audience, and then you do an intro where you say the name of the next group last. Well, and that's it.
What's your favorite question to ask the audience?
I say, are you still with us? How are you doing?
Does that usually work
who's
well?
Who's this asshole in the front? What's your name, douche? That's what I say.
I do like being antagonistic to an audience when I'm hosting.
Oh, it's great.
I love telling the audience just to fuck off. It's something I enjoy doing.
What's the meanest thing that you've said to the audience?
Well, that's the thing. It's not mean because it's very
sure,
it's like
but I want to know what the meanest is.
It probably is some version of fuck off, yeah. Because it's because I feel like the way I like to host is I like to host as if the audience is like in on the joke, as if it's like, you're with me here. It's like right. you know what's up. We're all in this kind of togetherness kind of thing. So like I almost when I host, I tend to host with like an almost like I host with a weird energy. I straight up host with like a weird a weird, some might call it off-putting energy, but I like having like a little bit of like rough and tumble to it, like not perfectly polished. And I think like not having like a perfect polish to it allows an audience to be like more engaged. Like the one note I've had to, or the one thing I've had to deal with, I think, in my hosting style sometimes is it almost encourages people to participate too much. And so I have had to find a bit of a good balancing act, because sometimes I think the way I host, people think like, oh, I can just talk to the person doing, and then like they'll interrupt the next act to go on. So I have to be, I've had to like adjust to make it so it's like, okay, we'll tolerate a certain amount of, buffoonery in the middle, but please shut the fuck up when the acts are on, kind of a thing. But
would either of you, and this question actually comes from our mailing list. This is from Dom Aykroyd 69 says, how would you envision, do you think that hosting in like a Smeagol persona would be successful? Like, do you think that
real quick, when you say Smeagol persona, you mean like before he becomes Gollum, or is like, so he's just like
no?
Andy Serkis,
so like you would do both. So having that kind of schizoid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, actually, I think you're the best equipped to answer that question. Kind of funnily enough, I'm glad that you found that question, because you do go into a sort of trance and start talking to yourself when you're hosting. So maybe you can speak about it.
Is this a
Is
note?
this a bit?
Could we save notes for maybe after the show? I just
no.
Well, I just thought we were going to see your other persona, Jeagle.
Yes, Jeff and Jeagle.
I love to host. This is my favorite time of the day.
Jeff, can we speak to Jeagle now?
Nope. Okay, you're a jerk. It's a mean thing to say to somebody. I mean, I guess I wouldn't think that because I'm Jeagle and I have a high self-esteem. My favorite thing to do when hosting, I like to kind of clear the air by finding the most physically infirm.
It feels like it's morphed into Gilbert Gottfried.
Yes, it is.
I don't follow comedians. I don't know who that is. I like to follow world music stars.
Cool.
So Yaffee.
Yaffee?
Yeah, isn't that his name?
Is that another persona for you?
No. Are we speaking with Jeff
he's
now?
An Israeli musician, right?
Talking about Yanni?
Oh yeah, I did mean Yanni. Well, anyway, Jeff is
Yaffee is Yanni's alter ego as well. You should
all
see them
have
on
one.
stage.
That's the thing. That's what
he's when he's on stage, he's Yanni. When he's off stage, he's Yaffee.
This is what in a Jungian sense, we all put on these personas when we host, and hosting in the metaphysical sense of just a being, a Dasein.
Sure. I do want to I just want to go back to that great pun that I think you missed, because Yanni's on stage and Yaffee's off. When Yanni's on, boy is he Yan. And when he's Yaff, boy is he Yaff.
So I don't usually...
Hey, Yanni, can I talk to you? Yeah, please step into my office.
So unlike Christian's kind of cruel, mean, debilitating sort of persona that he does when he hosts, I like to. My alter was going to say was that I like to kind of clear the air by finding the most physically infirmed or just like sickly looking individual in the audience, and kind of just being motherly in general, nursing, caring, offering words of affirmation, touch, gifts, whatever the other love languages are, and just sort of, that will kind of, because when you're a host, you're not really doing a show. So what you do in between, it's like, is this reality? Is this a show? Is a show within a show? And you can kind of play with that and also physically heal members of the audience at the same time. And so I've had audience members that could walk after shows.
Who couldn't before? Or
well, I didn't confirm. It's not really up to me but I'm always amazed to see them walk away. Sometimes they're so excited.
They never question it because you go, now you can walk. And they were like, yeah, I guess now I can. But before,
well, they're so excited. I know because they're so excited, they'll do it right then and there and like walk out the theater. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like I can't. So, my hosting style is obviously a little different. I'm caring towards the audience. I say maternal. It's like a yin yang sort of thing. I'm like maternal, paternal. I play both the mother and the father. And I think that's sort of the thing about hosting. Wouldn't you say that you are the parental figure over the show? And the show is like the nest and the acts are like tiny little birds learning to fly.
Nah, I don't take care of my audience are equals to me. We're peers, and like if anything, I'm like a cousin or something to the audience. I'm not taking care of them.
That is funny. I've always thought, and I do. You learn that pretty early on. It's like the idea of the top of your intelligence is also like the top of the audience's intelligence.
Right.
You never want to think that the audience doesn't know what you're talking about. You always want to assume that they know exactly where you're at. And I always take that approach in the same way where it's like, we're in on this together because you guys aren't a bunch of idiots. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, take that approach in hosting. And I think you get people on your side. And when a show's not good or whatever, you can really like recapture their I don't know, not engagement, but
their
recapture
or something.
Their
trust.
Love. They're like, their trust in that, like, what you're doing, because when a show's not good, like you can't do anything about it as a host.
Right. And
you can't go backstage and go, hey guys, hey, so the last group wasn't good. Do you guys think that when you guys go up that you could be good? Thank you. Oh my God, thanks so much.
I've had that happen before. Not with improv. I was so this is actually a funny tangent. I was hosting a conference, a academic conference in Taiwan, and I was hosting it in Chinese. And at the time, my Chinese was very subpar, but specifically like tonally, like my tones were totally off. And when you are like speaking about academic subjects, that can really not be a good thing. Like no one's going to know what you're talking about. And halfway through, like I go to sit down and like the reason I was doing it, the department asked me to, because they were very, they were like, here's this American student. Like, we really want him to, like, that shows off how international a department is. And it was the Chinese literature department, which I really had no business being a part of anyway. And they, at that time. And so anyway, I did it. I sit down and the sort of mentor, I guess, my program mentor comes up to me. He's like, yeah, so can you, I was talking to everyone and that's not very good. Can you do it good? And I had no idea what to say, because it's like, I can't like just improve my linguistics. Like, I'm not faking bad linguistic skills.
So you had to say, no, I can't do it good.
I probably said something to that effect. I'm just like, I don't know how else I could do this. And I'm sure it was just like, okay, well, maybe we should give you less lines or something. I don't remember how it went. It's not a big deal looking back, but it was very silly. But hosting is, I always think I'm very good at it, but I don't know if I actually am, because to your point, Matt, about playing to the height of your intelligence and assuming the audience is going along, I feel like there are several times that you have witnessed, that both of you have witnessed, where I come out and do something sort of hosting, and everyone is like, what are you talking about? So you're laughing because you know this is true. Like the twins thing, where I came out and said we did a genetic test and we are twins, despite there being three of us, and no one was in on the bit. Like no one laughed. Everyone was like, "What is this?" and then we went into our set.
Well, I will say when it comes to hosting, I don't necessarily think you need the audience to understand you. You just need them to like you, you know? And I think that's kind of an element of a good host audience relationship. And I think, I think you come off likable and stuff. So it's like,
would you say the same for Jeagle? My alter?
I don't want to talk about Jeagle. We have beef.
I didn't know that. I don't remember things my alter remembers. So
that's why I wouldn't bring it up to you. That would, I
don't remember.
I don't carry the grudge. I don't carry the grudge over to you.
He owes him about $130.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jeagle's
for
money's a little tight
hosting services.
On that side.
Money's tight for Jeagle.
Yeah,
but your bank account's doing all right.
Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine.
You guys
Jeagle
have split bank accounts. Split bank accounts, split personalities.
It's just I run another podcast with Jeagle, and he owes me for the podcast hosting services.
Why do you run a podcast with him?
Why?
Well, what? Yeah, what?
Why
actually,
would I
what
run why do I run a podcast with you? Why?
Well, because I'm. Why do you run a podcast with me?
We're all not sure. We're not.
Would you rather Jeagle be here?
No, he doesn't. I wouldn't do
I can be here, guys.
No, I wouldn't do a comedy podcast with Jeagle.
Okay, I'll go away now. Bye.
So, all right.
Our show is about urban exploring.
Do you geocache with Jeagle?
Yeah. Geocache with Jeagle is one of the segments, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll have to tune in. What is that on? Is that on Podfix Nation?
Yeah. And you know what else is on Podfix Nation?
Oh, this would be a good moment for a little commercial.
Sure, right at the end.
We'll split it in the middle. We'll move this section right in the middle. Zero post editing, just like cut and chop and.
Well, we can do it. We can do it like Memento style. It'll be an out of sequence episode. So
I was gonna recommend that, so that was a good idea. That's
to go all the way back from all of those tangents back to what you were saying, I think the top of your intelligence things goes both ways. I was so startled by what you were doing up there, and I could not tell if you were being earnest or not. That when it came time for it not being earnest, I was like, it took so long to register what was going on that I was like, well, and it's like, but I think hosting and improvising in that same way is just like that. Is you have to be able to comment on the stuff that doesn't land as a host, because again, it's like, yeah, I know, whatever. Yeah, I know you guys. I tried it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think that's where that hosting bit got most of its laughs anyway.
I will say, and to that point, I think where sometimes hosting fails is when the audience can't tell that the host has any sort of self-reflection upon what the content is. So I think there is a kind of host who can be like overly saccharine and like overly like,
right.
Like, yeah, this is gonna be so great, and it's like. And if it isn't, and then the audience is like, oh, well, you're a fucking liar then. So it's like, why am I going to believe anything you fucking say now?
That's part of the reason why all of my hosting tips have nothing to do with content. Because like I go, those guys, woo, how are you? Are you all right? I'm so sorry. Are you doing all right?
How are you?
Yeah. And I'm asking this because I'm not doing great.
I always like hosts
aftercare is an important element.
Hosts that come out and say things like, that wasn't rehearsed, there was little practice, I apologize, there will be vouchers at the end, stuff like that.
Yeah, I typically open the floor for notes to the audience for the previous.
That is always a good move. I try to do that.
I would love that
every show.
Oh my God.
And it's great because the audience won't say anything, and then because they feel it's really awkward and like like not okay, right? And then you, as the host, can say, well, I guess there's no notes, so you must have loved that. And then you go on to the next scene. And so it gives you an
if
out.
you love that last group, you're going to love this next one. My life is a spiral.
If the audience isn't brave enough to stand up to bad comedy, that's on them.
That's
Sorry.
true.
That would be funny. Could you do like a bit show where you purposefully do bad acts and just see how long you can get an audience member to comment?
I mean, that is kind of. We've definitely been confused for bad improvisers.
Oh yeah. Oh no. No, you're right. That has happened. Yeah.
A mistake in identity. Definitely not.
I did used to have this stand-up bit where I would give a guy a whiteboard and I would say, hey, honestly, rate my set. Like, honestly. And then it would come time and I'd be like, all right, why don't you tally up the scores and let me know how I did or whatever. And then he'd hand it to me and I'd look at it and then I'd erase it and write 10 and then flip it around. I would love an improv set where everyone has a little whiteboard.
Oh yeah,
that'd be so good.
Oh, that would be fun. Wow, that would be a way to do like a fucking what do you call it?
Cage match.
Cage match. Yeah. Is if you give everyone the ability to rank, have numbers associated.
Oh, I would love that.
I'd like one where we rank each other.
Well, I would give both of you 10s.
Which would mean nothing then.
It's like golf
out
Matt,
of 100.
So that's okay. Well, we all made the same joke.
Yeah. Except mine was earnest at first, but then you started.
So should we put the commercial in?
Mine
here?
was about like being graded on a curve. We already did the plug for the commercial.
But I didn't know if.
And then we added enough content onto the end now.
We could have another commercial here.
But it's not weird. No, we're not plugging another show.
Can I plug like some stuff I'm doing?
Can we plug our show?
You want to plug something? What? This is coming out in September, like September 8. Hold on. Keep talking. Vamp.
Oh, how are the cats?
Cooks. So for those of you who don't know, I have 2 cats, Cook and Pop-Tart. Cook is sleeping right next to me. I have a chair set up so that she can comfortably sit next to me. It's her favorite spot.
The 15th. This is coming out on the 15th. So anything you got going on? Because I don't think I got anything.
I might be. Oh, I'm doing that 80 days around the world thing where I'm gonna try to travel around the world in 80 days.
I mean, that's incredibly easy
to prove that it can be done.
Well, yeah, doable, incredibly so.
So
and he actually did do it in that story. So it's not that like.
What story?
Do you remember that part of that story is that the guy leaves the gas on? And that's an outlet. That's a major B plot in Around the World in 80 Days is that somebody leaves the gas on. It's like, fuck, I left the gas on.
I've only seen the Jackie Chan and what's his name?
Jackie Chan's the first.
Yeah, Steve Coogan.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that either. I detest the world in 80 Days.
I've seen the Jackie Chan one. Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it too.
Before we go down much more of a rabbit hole, that has been another episode of Little Bits and Pieces.
We've been Walrus. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, I'm Christian Torres from Walrus. If you're interested in supporting this show, the best thing that you can do is rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure to check out walrus.com, that's WALLARES, for a full list of our socials, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Stay tuned for news about any live shows that we may have, and new episodes of Little Bits and Pieces come out every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
The show you've just listened to is a part of the Podfix Network. To listen to other shows on the network, head over to podfixnetwork.com, follow on Twitter @Podfix, and join the Podfix Nation at facebook.com/Podfix.